I can't recall a day in my life, ever in my life, where I wanted the weekend to end, where I just can't wait for this weekend to end. My mind has been traveling the last few days at 1,000 miles an hour, and it seems like the rest of the world is on pause. I sent a message to the manager of the old place I used to work before I left to care for my mother. It sounds like they want me back. I have to go talk to her next week sometime. It's now Sunday. 3:18 in the afternoon. I have 2 boxes laying in the corner of my room that I'm going to be sending to a cousin. Family heirlooms, prized possessions, both my father and my mother and me. I still have a couple of more things I have to get a box for and ship them to my cousin. I want these things in family hands. I don't want them to end up in the hands of strangers. Because as I mentioned in a previous video, the plan is to sell everything and move into an RV. And for that, I have to travel light. I mentioned in a previous video, the biggest thing I'm going to take with me will be my bed, and that's only going to be temporary. That's if I need to. See, the thing that worries me is I don't know what kind of a timeline there's going to be in between selling the house and buying an RV. Because I have to sell the house first to get the money for the RV. And I might be without a place to stay for maybe a week or 2 or maybe even a month. And so far, everybody that I've talked this over with are not really warming up to the idea, including my cousin, whose husband said no. I guess they had some bad experiences with previous relatives wanting to stay for a while or storing stuff in his garage. I got nothing to store. Like I said, the bed. And if I get the RV, you could sell the bed. The only thing I'm taking with me that I'm going to be keeping is my computer, a TV set, and my camera equipment, and a box, one single box filled with old black and white prints and film from the old film days of photography with my darkroom. And other than clothes and a few towels and some toothpaste, that's it. I do have a dozen other items that I'm going to be dragging with me, but I'm going to be selling those items eventually. The only reason I'm not leaving them behind is because, as I've mentioned, I don't want to sell these items cheap. And I don't even know if any of this is viable, because I haven't talked to anybody. I haven't talked to a realtor. I haven't talked to an RV guy. Haven't even talked to anybody in the park office about this. I'm waiting on the funeral home to send me those death certificates and her urn with her ashes in it. They said it would take a couple of days, but I've talked to other people, at least out of the state, friends and relatives that are living in another state. They said it'd take 2 weeks. I don't have 2 weeks. I don't want to wait 2 weeks. I want this over and behind me. I want to be in an RV driving over the sunset. That's what I want, as soon as possible. And I've had people tell me, why don't you just scatter her ashes out of her favorite park or out in the ocean? I said, no, that's not what she wanted. She wanted to be buried with my father, her husband. And that's what I want to do. And that's going to be hard enough. No, really, I'm still having emotional outbursts with my mother and her being gone. And I know there's still one more big one that's going to be coming. I know. And I know exactly when it's going to come, too. It came the same time with my father when he died. It was at the cemetery after his military send-off. And the priest read the last rites. And everybody walked up to the casket and put a flower on it. Yeah, it took 8 guys to contain me. There's not going to be 8 guys there this time around. Because the people that were there at my father's funeral, they're all gone. The relatives are scattered like the 12 tribes. My cousin that I mentioned a few times before, she's the only one I know still in the state. Other relatives I haven't heard from, nor has she heard from in years. There's only going to be one person at that cemetery, and that's me. I know when I went over there a few days ago to get an invoice made up and an order made up, and all I have to do is just pay them and they'll inter her remains in with my father. I had a bunch of stuff that I wanted to bury with her, like I did with my father. And we were going over all the stuff, and it was mostly baby pictures. I have to take them out of the frame so they'll fit better. And I have baby shoes that my mother had bronze so many years ago that she dragged with her from New York to out here and every house that we've ever lived in. Just baby shoes that she had bronze, and there's a little picture of me as a baby in between the two shoes. And I want to put that in with her in the grave. And the woman was looking at me, and she says, "Are you sure you want to bury all this with her?" I said, "Yes, I do. These were hers." I told her these were her favorite pictures of me as a baby and as an adult. And those bronze shoes, she used to display them in plain sight for everyone to see. This was her life. I was her life. I was her world. And I want them buried with her. I went off the deep end with her. I lost it, telling her that. Trying to remember how long it took. After my father's death, how long it took before I stopped crying. I'm trying to remember. I mean, despite our differences, despite what they believed, what I didn't believe, the arguments over it, what I didn't believe, what they believed, the non-stop arguments over it. And we're talking about a hardcore Roman Catholic conservative family here. I guess I'm the black sheep. But that was really the only rift between us. Between me and my mother and my father. That was the only rift. Yeah, at the end of the day, they still loved me and I still loved them. Which is a lot more than I can say for a lot of other families. Religious families who had an offspring that suddenly stopped believing, and next thing you know, they're getting kicked out of the house. No, my parents didn't do that to me. They yelled, they screamed, they argued. We argued. But it never got to the point where I was never welcomed in their house or that they would disown me. No, it wasn't like that at all. No, at the end of the day, despite what I didn't believe and what they believed, I was still their son. Period, end of story. And had they gone the crazy way with me, as other religious families have with siblings who stop believing, obviously I would be in a different position in my life right now. But they weren't like that, and I'm glad they weren't. Yeah, if my mother was any less of a parent to me, she would have ended up in a nursing home. And I would have never left my job for, a year and a half to take care of her. I would have never made the sacrifices that I made for her. But I did it because those are the sacrifices she made for me. That's how it works, people. At least that's how it's supposed to work. Anyway, that's about it for now. I'm going to see if my friend's home right now. Cruise down there and hang out with him for a couple of hours. Thanks for stopping by and for tuning in. Talk to you later. Bye.